Yo, what's up, homies? What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Order Book. What up, dog boy? What up, Oscar? Massi Modicel. Greetings from Italy. Ciao. Or buongiorno. Correcto. Printing on my ETH short and new best 92 shot on a golf round today. Played to 17 handicap. It says, holy smokes, this guy might be having the best day ever. Gabriel, what's up? Brian, Freddie, Phil, the Flying Frenchman. What's up? What's up? How's everyone doing? What's up, American Nightmare over on Kick? Freddie, hope everyone's doing good. Mang, Hermit. Guys, it is smokier than hell here in BC right now. It's like 37 degrees Celsius where I live, and you can't see the sun. Like, it is completely socked in. It fucking sucks. But, you know, what can we do? Love you too, Steven, Seaweed, Hermit, Trippin, Charles, DJ Gambler. So we're going to do our best here. My throat's a little scratchy just from literally breathing in like campfire smoke outside. It's crazy, crazy how smoky it is. It sucks. Seems like it's just a reality of summer in these areas where there's nice, beautiful trees. We just get fucking annihilated every summer by forest fires. So we got a lot to talk about today, guys. Lots going on. Some stuff cooking. Some charts starting to move. The Mag 7 rolling over a little bit. Bitcoin pulling back a tiny bit. Semis are holding on a little bit, but some of the larger stuff, is looking kind of sketchy. Google missed earnings. Or I mean, Google disappointed, I guess you could say. Because if you take out like the Anthropic and SpaceX stuff, they actually missed. Tesla down huge, double-digit percentage. We've got some charts from last stream that we're going to go over as well that I didn't get to, but I promised you guys I would. So we're going to get into those. How far am I in Dungeon Crawler Carl? I just started the second book. I'm liking it. It's a much different read after Red Rising, but it's good. So yeah, as always, guys, Cody's in the chat. If you got any questions, it doesn't even have to be about trading, guys. It can be about life. You got questions about life, relationships, things in general, business. Your boy's a business main as well as a trader main. Don't forget that. I'll answer any questions that you guys have. And then Cody will be there taking some chart requests. We're going to go over ZCash, Rocket Lab, and Microstrategy. Those were missed from the last chart request section. So we'll get to those. And we'll see. What up, Biz? How you doing, G? I love you, Richie, in a gay way, though. All right, so we'll get into all of that stuff, and then we're gonna get after some news as we always do. If you have anything, again, that you want to see chart-wise, Cody will be monitoring in the chats, taking your chart requests. So ping him in any of the 3 chats. We're live everywhere. We're literally live everywhere. Okay? And he will do his best to make a list, and we'll get to as many as we can as time permits. All right, guys? When am I going to have kids? Hopefully soon. We're going to be trying in the next couple of months here. So once that happens, you're going to have 9 months, right? You're going to have 9 months, and then who knows what happens after that. I've never had kids before, so we'll see. We'll see. All right, so let's get into it, boys. Let's get right into it. So Bitcoin, we'll start with pulling back just a little bit. Right? So we'd been watching, these highs get taken out, a bit of a pullback. I took a short like here, but we pushed up above 65, so I closed for a loss. I'm willing to take a short on some sort of sweep up above here. I don't know how high it goes, but if it creates a sweep, that's a short I'm willing to take. And I'm also interested in a long down here. Okay, so not much has really changed on the Bitcoin front. Higher time frame, like if we go to like the 3-day chart, for example, we have this kind of resistance here, right? Up in the premium. So that's deep in the OTE, right? This is the breaker order block that caused this move down that had fair value gap, right? So it's a solid move down, and we could trade up into this fair value gap and sell off. But ideally, shorts are above there. So if we get some sort of move up to here, that's an area I'm interested in looking to short as well. Now, it seems like every day I come on Twitter, people are more and more convinced that the bottom's in, right? And they're getting more confident. Like I said last time, they're coming out of their cave. These bulls, these perma bulls who don't know how to trade the market in both directions, they're coming out of their cave, right? Now, I'm not saying all the bulls are perma bulls. There's lots of people who've been bearish and are now starting to get bullish, and I'm one of those people. I'm much more firmly in the long-term bull camp now. I think that Bitcoin is in a one of two scenarios kind of position right now. Scenario one, right? And we've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, is we do get one more low, and that is our capitulation low, and then we begin the bottoming process, later this year. So we get our capitulation low, and then we have our bottoming kind of form, right? After the capitulation low, from here to here, right, was what, like 2 months, 3 months, and then we're in an uptrend. We're in a bull run. The other situation is what I think a lot of people are kind of agreeing with right now, is that this was the capitulation low. The sailor selling was the low, right? So we had the sailor selling. That is our ultimate low. And now we're in this section, right? So it's really a function of, are we here or are we here? The thing that you need to realize about both, and so the second scenario just is the low's already in and we're just in the sideways chop. That is the operative phrase. Both scenario one and scenario two, bottom is not in yet, bottom is already in, both still mean we're going to have some choppy price action. So if we're here, okay, we have one more low, but we still got more sideways, and the low is close. If we're in scenario two and we're like here already, guess what? The bottom's already in, but we're still going to have sideways chop before the uptrend continues. So you can look at that like a bad thing, or you can look at that like a good thing. If you believe the low's already in and we're down here, then you should be using this range to accumulate your spot Bitcoin. And then whenever we get above this high, you should be unloading whatever remaining dry powder you have. Just like here, accumulate, 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 unload the rest of the clip. So if you already think the low is in, that's what you should be doing right now. You should be accumulating spot Bitcoin, spot ETH, spot HYPE, spot SOL, whatever you want to hold, random bullshit coins that you guys probably like. If the low's already in, you want to use this accumulation period to buy. What you're going to see from here until the end of the year is a lot of people arguing. Every time we go up, the bottom's going to be in. If we pull back meaningfully at all, even if it's not to make a new low, you're going to have people get bearish. This is standard choppy sideways price action psychology that you're going to see on social media, on Twitter, etc. Is people are going to argue about the direction. They're going to bitch. They're going to moan. Every time it goes up, the bottom's in. Every time it goes down, it's not in. You need to decide for yourself whether or not you believe the bottom is in or close to being in. And like I have done, and like I've shared with you guys 100 times now, you need to create a plan to get exposure. I've given you guys my plan on how I plan on building exposure. Anytime we trade below 60, I'm starting to buy. And the moment we get a weekly market structure break, I'll buy even more. And if we go decently below 60, we go into the low 50s, into the 40s even, I'll buy with more size. If you don't think that that's going to happen, if you're like, this is the low main, we're not even ever going back below 60K again, well, then you better start accumulating here. Because if you're correct and the bottom's in, well, then this sideways period of price action is accumulation, and you need to accumulate Bitcoin. Okay, so you need to create a plan, and then you need to have contingencies for that plan for how to react if it doesn't work out. If you believe the bottom's already in and you're wrong, right? And we end up making another low, what are you going to do? Are you going to hold that spot? Are you going to buy more to discount? What are you going to do? If you don't think the low's already in and you think we are going to go down for another low, but we don't, what are you going to do? How are you going to get that exposure? So I've given you exactly how I plan on doing it. I've already started executing my plan because since I've shared this with you, we've traded below 60K a few times. And I'm prepared for either scenario. And if we don't get the scenario that I want, right, I have a plan, weekly structure, look to get in, right? So if you are wondering what to do, you have to determine how you're going to get yourself exposure to the market. I am a believer that we're closer to the bottom and both time and price. So I want to begin building exposure because high time frame, long term, I believe the upside is more asymmetric at this point. The downside, I think, is going to be more limited. Even though there can be more downside, I think it's more limited. And I think the upside will be huge because I think we're going to have another bull run. How you get exposure is totally up to you. So these short-term ideas I've been talking about, like, longing here, up to here, or maybe shorting this or shorting up here. None of this has to do with my spot Bitcoin allocation strategy. I've explained that strategy before. Okay. So all the stuff I'm talking about is quite simply trading, right? The high time frame plan, I've already laid it out. I'm already executing on my plan. And that's it, right? There's nothing else to say about Bitcoin high time frame, I don't think. Can another low happen? Yes. Does another low have to happen? Absolutely not. Either way, we're likely going to see some continued sideways for the next few months at the bare minimum. I think 3 to 6 months going into the end of the year, we're going to see sideways. No different than when the bottom formed here. The bottom takes time to form. Catching the absolute low, that might be only a day or two. But the bottoming process and the bottoming range lasts many months. And if you believe the bottom's in already, we're in that range now. You need to be accumulating anytime you get a chance near the range lows. If you don't believe the bottom's in, still, even though the bottom wasn't in here yet, you're accumulating, right? Accumulating. So I've given you guys that plan. I go back to this chart a lot. I think we're, pretty damn close to value. We've already tagged into value a little bit, right? On this most recent dump. We tagged into that 6.2. And even if we do get deeper in here, it's just an opportunity to buy more. And that's really the kind of theme of this show today, is that the bear market and the bottoming process, this is absolutely when you want to be spending the most amount of time sharpening your tools, learning to trade, understanding the basics of support and resistance, understanding the basics of risk management. Because what's going to happen is when this thing starts to rip, you guys remember, it just fucking rips. The pullbacks never seem deep enough and the moves up happen so quickly, right? So in the bear market, you have long periods of consolidation and generally they kind of go up, and then you have an aggressive move down. Then you have a long period of consolidation and then an aggressive move down. The bull market is the inverse of this. You actually get these aggressive moves up and then these downward long periods of consolidation, then bang, then downward long periods of consolidation, then bang. It's the opposite of what you think. In terms of time, price actually ends up trading down in a bull market more than it does in a bear market. We've actually spent more time in this bear market trading up, right? These are all weekly candles. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of down, and then we have like 7 or 8 weeks of up. We have 3 weeks of down, and then we have like 10 weeks of up. Few weeks of down, and then multiple weeks of up. Whereas it's the inverse of what you think. It's counterintuitive. Whereas in the bull market, we have these aggressive moves higher, and then we have multi-week, multi-month consolidations and pullbacks. So what you're going to want to do right now is be maximizing your learning. Pay attention. Learn the basics. Understand risk management. And the reason you want to do that is we aren't in the crazy period yet. I believe at best, we're already bottomed and we're just going to go sideways for a few months. And at worst, maybe we have one more leg down, but still are going to have months of sideways price action. You're going to want to maximize the time when the market's going sideways and the craziness of the bull market hasn't started. Because the bull market seems so long ago, many of you probably forget just how nuts it gets. Every day, stuff is going up, stuff is moving. It's like information overload. You don't even know what to look at. You're trying to focus. Oh my God, this guy just made millions on this coin. This coin's up 30% today. This happened, something new launched. And it's like you're just trying your best to maximize, compound, make as much money as possible. Use the time you have now before we get to that crazy period to make sure that you at least have the basics of trading understood, the basics of risk management understood. So when the crazy period of time happens, right, you can execute it on it as best as possible, keep as much of the money as you can and compound to the maximum ability. You want to make as much as you can and keep as much as you can. And it's a lot easier to build those habits and learn those skills now than it is to learn in a bull market where you can very easily get confused being like, oh shit, I'm a good trader because you just long every dip and it works. And then all of a sudden this happens and you've given back 50% of your bull market gains in a single move because you didn't take any profit or did no risk management. All right. New type trader, bro, to be fair, you thought we bottomed around 80K. That's not accurate at all. I did not think this was the top here. I got faked out by this. Even though we had the weekly structure break, I failed to hold my system. And we got another leg lower. And then very publicly on a dozen different streams and charts and videos, I said, the moment we lose this uptrending line, we're making new lows. Don't lie on my name, bro. Don't lie on my name. Don't lie on my name. I'm always very upfront about my plans, my thoughts, and I absolutely share everything, including all the shit that I get wrong. I own my shit, unlike the vast majority of people on the internet. Don't lie on my name, bro. Don't lie on my name. Guys, we got an OG in the house, Crypto Face. Crypto Face is here. He's been in YouTube jail because his hair is too long and too luscious. And Mr. YouTube said, we got to get rid of this guy. His hair is too good. We got to get this guy off stream. Welcome out of purgatory, my man. The Great Nomad wants to see lower time frames on Bitcoin. 5 minute, or the 15 minute and the 1 hour. I have no opinion on the hourly or the 15-minute chart right now. It's meaningless to me. I think at best, dude, you go out to the 12-hour, and if you're bullish, you assume this is a 12-hour order block, and price is going to go up from here. Like, that's the hourly chart. There's just like, it looks like it's rounding off here, but I don't have a setup here personally. So if you're a bull, there's your target. This is where you want demand to hold. Simple as that. So I don't really have any new thoughts on the low time frame for Bitcoin. I don't think much has happened. I still want to see, if you're a bull, I think in the relatively near future, you want to see this high get taken out in the next couple of days. If we just kind of do this, right, then I think, yeah, we're going to go take out these lows. But if we don't, right, if we don't, and we get a push up here, then I think the bulls have a chance to continue this, right? Continue this move higher, up towards 70K plus, up into the premium here. Other than that, nada, dude. Nothing's really happened. In the last video, we talked about a potential pullback, right? There's your pullback. Now we want to see what happens. We're going to hold here and push up, or are we going to roll over? I'm interested above here, and I'm interested below here. So when we're in the middle, what do we never do in the middle? We never diddle in the middle. I know your uncle used to diddle you in your no-no place. I'm not a diddler. I don't diddle in the middle. Leave that to your Uncle Lester, Mo Lester. I'm so fucking corny, dude. Hardeep Gill said, where do you park your cash when waiting for a dip? Money market funds. It depends like how long we're talking. So over like a long enough period of time, I'll hold my money in like, you know, bonds or whatever if I think that that makes sense. If we're in a risk on environment, I'll absolutely have money in money market funds. But I generally want to have dry powder accessible to buy the dip, right? So like if you have cash in your bank account, how quickly can you convert that into Bitcoin if Bitcoin dips where you want it to be? So I think you need to have a relatively multifaceted strategy. I always like having some cash. I like holding T-bills as well. I keep a good amount of money in T-bills that just kicks me off money consistently every single year. That kind of covers my living expenses. And then I want to have money that's accessible and movable and that I can quickly move in and out of stuff. But I'm slightly hesitant about being fully exposed to risk right now, like in terms of equities. And like, while I believe Bitcoin might be bottoming, I don't really believe that, you know, the stock market is bottoming. Like the stock market, if anything, is looking more toppy than it is bottomy. And I do think we eventually get another correction here. Who knows when and for how deep and for how long. So yeah, I mean, you want to have, it depends, right? You want to have money accessible. Your dry powder is meaningless if it takes 24 hours to cash it out of whatever you're in, and then you got to on-ramp it to an exchange, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's a complex question. It really depends on what you're trying to do. But if you think the dip is coming in the immediate term, short term, you absolutely want to have it on exchange or, you know, on your Hyperliquid, wherever you're buying your spot, available. Whereas if it's a longer term thing and you're like, hey, we're in a bear market, like I've had a ton of money parked in just like bonds, just giving me off, you know, 3, 4, 5% bond ladder here. What is happiness mean? I think that's a really good question. Happiness is up to you. I think a lot of people are looking for external validation, external reasons to feel happy. And I feel like those people are going to be perpetually unhappy. Your own happiness is your own responsibility. It's not the world's responsibility. It's not your wife's responsibility. It's not your job's responsibility. Can you get happiness from those things? Absolutely. But you got to figure out what makes you happy, man. Sometimes the happiest I am is taking my dog on a hike in the woods. Like that's electric. Doesn't even cost me any money. You know what I mean? Sometimes happiness for me is going out for a really fancy dinner with my wife and spending a bunch of money. So it's up to you to find, to figure out what creates happiness for fulfillment for you. It's not always money. I've been told by people who have kids that you don't even know what happy is until you have a kid. So I'm excited for that journey too. Yeah, so Bitcoin, I don't really have any additional insights here. I don't know. You guys seeing anything on Bitcoin specifically? Like this 12-hour order block, there's your down candle before the move up, that break structure. So if we're going to go up, this is where it should hold, right? We should push up and we should take out this high right here. So that's kind of the next move, I think, on Bitcoin, if this holds, is a move like that. And then we'll see. But again, I'm interested down here. I'm interested up here. I'm not going to diddle in the middle. Golf makes me happy for sure. Well, golf makes me happy, but it also makes me very angry. It also makes me very angry. So going over to Ethereum here. Ethereum's a little weaker than Bitcoin, right? So we've seen ETH BTC have this like run. Everyone's bullish on ETH for a day. We broke out of this trend line on the weekly. Now the question is, like, is this a trend line fake out? Right? If it is, that's, you know, shitty. But let's see what ETH BTC can do here. But low time frame, it's getting a bit of a pullback, a little bit of weakness, and you can see that expressed in the ETH chart itself, right? 12-hour sweep up the highs here. We actually had a double sweep. We swept that high as well. And if you zoom in now, you know, you have a setup here that already probably played out. Did it? Yeah, kind of. Right? So ETH a little bit weaker. I'm still not convinced that the low is in for ETH. I do believe that, you know, ETH under where's my high time frame ETH chart here? Right? Like we're back in this, you know, deeper discount of the range here. We're not as deep. We're not as deep as we could. Let me just save drawing template as regular fib W. But we're in that discount. Like relative to this bull run, this entire area is like value on ETH, and you can see what happened, right? We're back in that area now, and if you adjust this for the most recent bull run, this entire area, right, is considered value relative to this price leg. I prefer this kind of larger fib. I still think that there's a world where ETH takes this low out, but it would require Bitcoin having another capitulation event. So Bitcoin selling back off towards the lows, Microstrategy, which we'll talk about later, having an additional, you know, sell event where they have to sell a significant amount of Bitcoin. That would be what is required for us to have another deep pullback on ETH. But I think, you know, I've said this before, $1,000 to $1,500 ETH, that's cheap. Because I think even if we don't go back to the highs, even if we don't, I think we go to at least up to like I think at least we're going to go up to 3K. So if we don't get another low, okay, well, from here to here is like a 2X. If we do get another low, we're now talking 3X plus. Just back to the middle of this range, not even to the range highs. So a lot of these charts are in that same place. And I've said this, you know, on countless videos. If you like certain coins and there's stuff that's down 80, 90+% off the highs, and you think Bitcoin's bottomed, you need to start accumulating. Like if you think we've bottomed, saying it on Twitter doesn't mean anything. Go buy, right? Like if you think the bottom's in on ETH, on Sol, on Bitcoin, on Hyperliquid, whatever else, you need to be accumulating over these next few months. Simple as that. So overall, I'm not convinced yet on ETH either. And I do think ETH is one of the charts that could go and take out its 4-year cycle low. So this was the last cycle. That's its 4-year cycle low. It would be hilarious if ETH took that low out and then went on and ripped from there. Doesn't have to happen. Doesn't have to happen. Go below there, right? Rip out of there. Anything's fucking possible. But for now, slightly weaker than Bitcoin. Want to see how ETH BTC holds. This is the most important chart if you're ETH right now. This needs to be a higher low relative to this. So how does that get confirmed? A move above here. But early confirmation will be moves above these highs and holding outside of this trend line. So that's what you're watching if you're an ETH head. If you're an Ethereum maxi. This needs to be a higher low. So do I think ETH has better RR potential than Bitcoin this cycle? I mean, it's all relative to where you buy, dude, right? Like if you bought ETH at the bottom of last cycle at 873, it went up 67%, right? So it went from $800 to almost $5,000. If you bought Bitcoin at the low, right, it went from 15,000, right, to 126,000. So it had a larger move. I don't necessarily think that ETH is better RR. It all depends on where you buy, though, right? Like if you buy ETH at 1,500 and it goes to 4,500, right? That's a big move, but is that going to be bigger than Bitcoin going up next cycle? I don't know. Bitcoin's seeing a bit of diminishing returns. It really just depends on where your entry is and where your exit is. Like RR is meaningless unless you know where you're getting in and where you're getting out, right? Like you could get a 10x on some random coin, right? Or you could get a better reward to risk on Bitcoin than Hyperliquid. Like if you buy Bitcoin at 60 and it goes to 180, and you buy Hyperliquid at 100 and it goes to 200, you had a better return. Like you can't just assume you're going to buy the low, right? Spoiler alert, you learn what happiness was before you had kids. JK, it's incredible. So my best friend lives in Australia now, and he came to visit me for like 5 weeks with his kid who's like 9 months old, 9 months old. Those 4 or 5 weeks were a lot, bro. Like I felt bad for him, man. You can't sleep in all the time. Not that I sleep in much, but like on the weekend, maybe you want to wake up at fucking 9. You know what I mean? Like maybe you don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning after waking up at 1, 3, 5 to put the baby back down. It's a lot. Vika Sam says, why do you know you're with the right person? Like, are you asking how do you know or why do I know? I'll give you the corny answer. Like I knew I was going to marry this girl the moment I met her. Like to the point where I like called my mom like immediately after. I was like, oh yeah, I found my wife. You know, like it is what it is. She makes my life better. She's additive to my life, not extractive. She brings me peace. She makes me happy. We have great chemistry. We're friends. All of those things matter. My family loves her. I love her family. So all of that stuff matters for sure. So I think there's an innate sense of knowing that you just know. But then there's also a compatibility aspect. You move in together. Does that work? You figure all that kind of stuff out over time. I'm also old, dude. Like, I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. When you're younger, that's a lot harder. I find the idea of getting married at like 22 insane because I'm like at 22, I was like probably clinically retarded. And I'm probably very close to that level now, but maybe slightly above. Like if clinical retardation's 80 IQ, when I was 22, I was 75. And now I'm like probably 85, 90. Do you think that the best way to become, what do you think is the best way to become the best trader? You have unlimited time and freedom of location. I think trading is glamorized on social media in a way that is just not accurate to what it is. You see these traders posting these like, you know, 4-picture stories of them with a supercar, a nice watch, you know, some fucking, you know, go yard bag, and then palm trees. You're like, oh my God, this guy's made it. Real trading is very boring. Like it's very boring and it's very lonely. You're by yourself. It's a one-player game, and you are your own boss. You are your own performance manager. It's you and your P&L. It's very boring. Can I trade from a laptop in the south of France? Yeah, but I much prefer trading at my house where I have all my screens and all my stuff. When I'm in the south of France, I don't want to fucking trade. You know what I mean? So it can be a great job if you're built that way, but it's not for everyone. It requires an incredible amount of discipline. It requires an incredible risk tolerance, and it requires an incredible amount of work. So don't buy the glamorized view of trading that you see online. Absolutely, it can provide you with freedom of time and location, but it takes a ton of time to learn to trade. And to get to that point where you have freedom of time and location, you got to be really good, and that's like a 1% outcome. Vast majority of people never make any money trading and will never be successful trading. Social media shows off a disproportionate amount of successful traders versus the reality. Like there's 100 people in the room. One of them is a successful trader. According to social media, 90 of them are successful traders. Now, whether or not there's that many successful traders on social media or there's that many marketers on social media who say that they're traders, I'll leave that to you to decide. But yeah. And the best way to get good at trading is by doing it, man. Like you got to trade. You got to trade. That's, I think, something that most people fuck up. Like, they spend so much time learning and trying to catch the new flavor of the month strategy or the newest meme coin, and they're not actually in the fucking arena, dude. Get in the arena. Put some money in an account. Start fucking trading. Buy a breakout challenge. Use code MAIN. Start trading. It's the only way you're going to learn is you're going to get in the arena and you're going to start making mistakes. A perfect example, my boy Ponzi, this is one of my best friends. He tweeted this out. He said, "Dear Ricky," I don't know who the fuck Ricky is. Just kidding. "It's been 5 years since you lost everything. The girl that offered to pay your bills until you got back on your feet is now your fiance. You retired her, but she loves building. It takes you a few years to make it back, but you learn so much along the way. You make 10x it, by the way. You just bought a jet. Bit off a bit more than you could chew, but you'll figure it out. You always do. You're 28 years old now, and it's better than how you ever envisioned it would be." This is an incredible tweet. I'm surprised I haven't liked it already because May 2021, who remembers what happened then? May 2021, any OGs in the house, right? That's right here. So he lost all his money here. Okay? Look who's in the comment section. Number one. Your boy. Keep your head up, G. Let me know if you need to chat. You'll be okay. That's the kind of friend I am, bro. I'm with you at the bottom. I'm still with you back at the top. That's my guy right there. This is absolutely inspirational, but this is how you fucking learn, dude. This has happened to me more than once, by the way. I lost a lot of my money right here. This was one of the lowest points in my life. One of the lowest points in my life. I lost a bunch of my money way the fuck back here. You want to know how old Trader Main is, dude? You don't even fucking know, dude. You don't even fucking know, dude. I lost a ton of my money. You can't even see it on here. I'm so old, you can't even see the bull market, dude. I lost everything I had here. All the money I had, including like maxed out credit cards and lines of credit, I had in crypto because I thought I had figured it out. I lost all of it and more because I kept putting in more money into the market. Okay? I lost money tons of times. I blew up many times. I lost a shit ton of money here too, dude, on this move down. I was long a metric fuck ton of altcoins on FTX. And the moment the market started rolling over, the liquidity on these coins evaporated. That's when I learned what we found out later after FTX basically went insolvent was that it was fake. It was all fake and gay. So you'd go click on some random altcoin. One of the ones I lost on, like I lost mid 6 figures on it, was called BAND, B-A-N-D. Okay? This coin, dude, I'm long so much of this coin. And I'm looking at the order book and it's stacked. And there's flashing constantly because it's like, oh, there's hella orders going through. I'm like, sick. The moment the market started to roll over, evaporated. And I'm looking and I'm like, holy shit, like I am the entire open interest for this coin. And it just started rolling. Like it just started rolling over. And I had no liquidation price. And then all of a sudden, right, my liquidation price appeared on the chart. Right, so I'm long this motherfucking thing. I'm long it, and it just starts dropping, dude. And it drops, look at this, 45% in a matter of days. And specifically on this day, right, it dropped 25%. And I'm holding this fucking bitch, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm cooked. I closed the trade here. And I knew the moment I closed, this thing was going to bounce 50%. And that's exactly what it did. But I had to close for that bounce to occur. They were going to liquidate my entire account. So you want to become the best trader? Get in the fucking arena. Lose your money. Lose it all. Make it all back. Make mistakes. Nothing I teach you in the whiteboard series, nothing I teach you in these streams, nothing I teach you anywhere ever is going to prepare you for the stuff that you're going to learn by being in the market yourself, being in the arena, taking the trades. It's the best teacher is experience. So you want to be watching the series, watching the videos, learning the basics. But until you're in the game, putting money on the line, losing, making money, learning, you're never going to get good. And I think that's something that a lot of people lack is they never actually get in there and start fucking doing the shit. They're just trying to get rich quick. They just want to buy the meme coin that's going to make them all the money. They want to long and never have to close. Maybe that happens. Maybe you're a one of one outcome. You're like Kimchi. Everyone always, all the meme coin traders talk about Kimchi. Kimchi made 40 million on Trump and then retired. Shout out to him. Well, first of all, Kimchi made 40 million on Trump and then retired. Kimchi's in his early 20s. He gave 35% of that, maybe more if he lives in like California, which I believe he does. Half of that went to taxes. So now you got 20 million. You're 22 years old, dude. 20 million is a metric fuck ton of money. It is forever money. 20 million is forever money. However, you got a long life left. You're going to live another 60, 70 years. You got to make that 20 million last. Every time I see Kimchi post, and I like Kimchi. I think his content's awesome, and I'm stoked he crushed it on a meme coin. But you got to be smart. 20 million is fuck you money. Last forever money if you live smartly. 20 million is not forever money if you've got crazy watches constantly. Hey, Mom, I'm streaming right now. I'll call you later or just text me. Okay. Hey, if your mom's alive, you're blessed. Be happy. That's what happiness is. My mom can call me anytime. 20 million bucks, right? If you're flying private jets, wearing Pateks, fucking, he has a Rainbow Daytona Rolex. That's a half a ticket watch. That's a $500,000. $500,000 for one watch. PJ flying, Saint-Tropez, Monaco, Lamborghinis, Ferraris. All of a sudden, that 20 mil is not that much. If you're spending it like crazy and you're that young. So I'm not saying that he hasn't made it. He fucking turbo made it off of a meme coin. But that's like a 1% of a 1% outcome. 1% of a 1% outcome. That's not the norm. As much as people on social media want you to believe that's the norm, those people are incentivized into trying to tell you that that's the norm because they have a platform where you can trade meme coins. They own equity, right? Maybe they own part of Pump Fund because they were an investor. Maybe they're an affiliate link for platforms that you can trade meme coins on that they happen to be shilling to you after they tell you you're going to make it, right? Maybe they have a Discord group where they talk about the newest, hottest meme coin plays and they want you to join. Maybe they have any sort of way to incentivize you to trade meme coins. It's like, well, look at this guy. This guy, right? Like that's a logical fallacy being like, look at this guy. This guy made a ton of money. You're going to do it too. And I have a moral issue with that. Now, I'm not saying I don't do something. I got a fucking prop firm. I want you to go trade on my prop firm, but I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass and tell you that you're going to make money. Most of you are going to lose money. Now, prop firms are a better way to learn, in my opinion, because your downside's fixed. But I'm not going to lie to you and be like, dude, you're totally going to get rich. Because you probably won't, right? Like Kimchi is a 101. How many people printed off of Trump? A handful? How many lost? Billions of retail money was deleted. It's like, well, Trump made money on me. That's like being like, well, Trump printed on Trump. You know what I mean? Like, it's just silly. So, anyways, I don't even know what the question was or what fucking happened. Trizzy, why do you need to do all that? I'll never understand. Listen, I like some luxuries, dude. I have a nice car. I like having nice watches. I like going on nice vacations. Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. Let's fucking go, Gleb. Well, no, I know he's talking about Kimchi, but like I just mean like I see why Kimchi's doing what he's doing. I like a lot of that stuff too. I don't do it to the same extent that they do it. You know what I mean? But I get why people do it. it's just like, if you're going to live that lifestyle, that's a much higher cost of living that you got to keep up with. Whereas some people could have 3 million bucks that they make in crypto and you could never work again, dude. You put in like, I think, what's the number? Kevin O'Leary always uses this. Okay, so 5 mil into UST bills. That's $200K a year. Some people might be like, that's fucking enough money for me forever. You know what I mean? Like, that's enough money forever. 5 mil into UST bills, you could live off of 200K. You can live off of 200K a year forever. 200K a year might be more than you've ever made in a job before. So again, like this whole make it conversation, how much do you need? It's all relative to who you are, what you do, how you spend, where you live, your familial situation. It's just like an impossible number to have. And as someone who's had some major financial wins in his life, like, the number changes, dude, and it gets bigger and it changes, and it changes for different reasons. 10 years ago, if I had the money I had now, I would be living a lot more like kimchi. Whereas now I'm like, I want a house where I have no neighbors. Like back 10 years ago, I want to be in the penthouse of the biggest building in my city with the loudest car. I want to go out to the club. I want to flex. I want to take crazy videos for Instagram. Now I'm like, I want a house where I can't see my neighbors. I want to make sure my kids can do any sport or activity they want and money's not an issue. I want to make sure my wife doesn't have to work unless she wants to. And when we have kids, we can afford some help, like maybe a nanny, right? I want to be able to afford a cleaning lady because I'm a slob and I don't want my wife to have to clean up after me all the time. So like things change, dude. Things change. Yeah, I agree, Trizzy. Like I'm similar. I have nice stuff. I literally sold like 8 of my watches. I'd ballooned to like 12 watches. I now only have 3. There's 2 more that I want, and then I'm done. 1 watch for every day of the week, and then I'm done. Yeah, you want that now at 25 years old. I'm 47, right? Things look very different when you're 47. We're getting real fucking, we're just talking about life this stream. I kind of like it. It's a nice change of pace. It's a nice change of pace. We're not even just ripping just charts. Like, I've been toying with the idea of doing more like personal brand stuff because I do like it. I like sharing. And I think I have a unique story because like I did a lot of the stuff that people sell to you online about what they've done, the fucking Tai Lopez's of the world. Like the guys who are like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be an e-com millionaire. But they've never been an e-com millionaire themselves. They have a mentorship that makes them hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but they never actually made the money doing the thing. Like I've done the things, right? I've made millions from trading over many years as a public figure. I started a company. I sold it, right? Like I've done a lot of this shit and I'm a little bit older and it's like, oh, I think it'd be interesting to share some of that because I think the advice that I'll give based on my experience is a lot more real because I actually did the shit. Whereas a lot of these people never did the shit that they're trying to explain to you how to do. And it's kind of just like insane. Gilberto, I owe you $3,000. Cody, can you DM me that I need to pay Gilberto tonight $3,000? That's my bad, G. See, guys, you come to my chat, you get money. You come to my chat and you just get some cash, dude. Okay, let's look at Solana real quick. Solana, like I got nothing, right? Weekly downtrend, still think this is cheap. So like I think the most prevailing conversation going right now on Twitter is from largely driven by Ansem. So Ansem, by the way, guys, he texted me and he said he's down to do an interview. So I'm trying to line that up. He's obviously very busy. He suggested tomorrow. I said I'm down, but I haven't heard back since. So if he's available, I'm going to do it. We'll get it done eventually, but I'm really excited for that combo. But Ansem has basically come out and he's called bottom. Okay. And he thinks we have 3 to 6 months of probably chop where you can accumulate, but he thinks the macro's bottoms in. Is this not one of the two scenarios that I just laid out? That either we have one more low and months of chop, or the low's already in and we have months of chop. So me and Ansem are aligned from a high time frame perspective for crypto. He's just a lot more confident in the fact that there is no additional low coming. But both of our message is the same. The bottom is either already in or close. We're going to have a few months of chop still. So if you're bullish, you need to be accumulating, right? So we agree on that front. And so I don't want people being on my streams being like, Main thinks we can make another low, blah, blah, blah. And then if we go up, you're going to be like, oh my God, Main. It's like, dude, I'm telling you right now, if you're bullish, you should be buying the stuff that you want to hold for the next bull run. I am bullish and I'm starting to buy the things that I want to hold for the next bull run. So if we go up and you haven't accumulated anything, and then all of a sudden in 6 months, Bitcoin's trading damn near 6 figures again, you know, you got to be looking at the man in the mirror. The only thing I'll say that I think is outside of just technicals aside, because technically the low could be in, I'm still not convinced, like I said. Technicals aside, generally buying the low is not comfy, right? People seem pretty unanimously comfy right now about the charts and about the bottom being in, which makes me think we could be in for one more surprise. But there's no technical analysis behind that fundament. That's just like a gut feel. It's usually pretty lonely buying the lows. It's not like, oh my God, we're all going to make it. The lows are in, dude. Just chill. You've made it already. But I do think we're close. So yeah, Solana, we came into demand here. We got a sweep, a little bit of a push up. Not much to update here. Like similar to Bitcoin and ETH, like let's just see what happens. I think the next few days, we're probably going to get resolution, either in terms of a move up on Bitcoin or a wipe across the board. And then we'll see if we want to long that. Trizzy says a bit chopped lows, but in equities, we're not in a discount. Yeah, I agree. Like that's another thing too. Like look at the S&P. This shit looks distributive right now. Every time we've had this kind of sideways price action, it's led to a sell-off. That can be invalidated on a break above the highs. And then some of these big names within the, like the Mag 7 stuff, dude. Like Tesla, we've been bearish on. Pop, lower high, roll over. Huge gap down today. Closing below that market structure level, certainly. Apple, pushing up. Clear level here. Let's see what happens. Does it get back below there? Microsoft, arguably, potentially in a bullish setup here. Google, looking a little sketch, right? Single line analysis. Got to get back above there. So some of the bigger stuff, you're kind of like, well, I don't know, dude. Then you start to look at the indices. It's like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? What are we talking about here? Stuff's got to go up. It's going to go up. It's got to go up relatively soon. Hasn't happened yet. Need to see a break in this downtrending structure. Same thing here. Need to break the downtrending structure. Need to break the downtrending structure. I would want to see this break this downtrending structure. Even the Russell is probably the most bullish of these. You want to see us kind of break out of this. This is going to go up. The dollar, look what happened. Right? Pull back up. If the dollar trades to 104, 105, I find it hard to believe that we don't at least have another test of the lows on crypto and a further sell-off in gold, in silver, and in potentially risk in general. So there's just a lot of counteracting signals. On the whole, high time frame, I'm skewing bullish on crypto, but shorter time frame, opportunities to maybe buy still cheaper. I still believe that there is a potential for that. Hyperliquid's been kind of underperforming. I think a lot of people are like, what the fuck's going on? Hyperliquid's not just going up in a straight line. Weekly sweep. H12 breaker. Right? Selling off. This thing's going to turn around. Okay, wait for it to make a higher high. It's coming into areas. Could find some interest here. Maybe we sweep out this low. Weekly SFP of this low or this low within this fair value gap. Then all of a sudden you're a hype bull again. But as I've said before, I would love for us to be able to get hype down here. I don't know if we will, but I would really like it. Loving this stream. I hit the ground when you said you're 47. You finally told your age. I know, dude. I'm old. I'm old enough to be Thread Guy and Rasmer's dad. That's how old I am, man. That's how old I am. I could be Thread Guy's father. I might be Thread Guy's father. Thread Guy, where was your mom 24 years ago? Where was she? I don't know. I don't know, bro. I have some splaining to do, Mrs. Thread Guy. Maybe we had a crazy night 24, 25 years ago. I don't remember. My memories gets fuzzier as I get older. So I don't really have much else here, guys. Like NVIDIA, again, still watching. If we break below this low, again, this would be an intermediate low to watch now. If we break below this one, that gives me more confidence that we break below that one. But if we lose this low, on NVIDIA, it's going to do what Tesla just did. Because I had the same line. Remember, I had this line on Tesla. Then it smashed through the lower one. That's what's going to happen to NVIDIA. If it breaks this low, I think it'll probably smash through that one. A lot of this stuff is just like meh, V-bottoming, kind of like we expected. Intel with an ugly candle here. We had earnings. Was it a miss or did it beat? So this is why most of you guys shouldn't trade earnings. So this is an earnings beat. It beat earnings a lot. 90% beat on earnings. 11% beat on revenue. And this is the candle. So does this probably trade higher? Yeah. But on the actual earnings call, a lot of people get annihilated trying to trade that stuff. I just wait for the dust to settle. MU, SanDisk pushing up a little bit, right, from those butt clench levels. So let's get into some of the chart requests here that Cody has collected. Hassan, with 10K in spot, can that be a good way of building a large capital? I mean, if you're really patient and you compound it over time and you get really lucky and you pick the right stuff and you take profit and then reinvest, eventually, yeah. Right? I did an entire fucking rant on this here. So I would watch this video here. No, not that one. This one. This guy asked the same question, but with 25K. Go watch this video on the order book Twitter. Vixum says, should I leave my full-time job and concentrate on trading? Is this the only way you can make it? Of course not. Look at how many giga-rich people there are that have no idea how to trade. There's a million ways to make it. That's the beauty of life. There's so many different ways to get to the destination. Right? Trading is just one of them. Trading, in my opinion, is a hard one. Right? You can start a company. You can... I made more money with Breakout than I ever did in trading. Like by a wide margin. But yeah, you can start a company. You can work your way up in a high-paying career field. You can be a doctor. There's so many different ways. Lawyers, there's tons of professions that make lots of money in different ways. Surgeons make crazy money. Really high-powered lawyers. I have friends who do personal injury law in the States. They make insane money. They know nothing about trading. Right? So it's not the only way you can make it. And you absolutely should not quit your job to learn to trade. You can learn to trade while still working your job, and you can trade while still having a job, and it'll probably make you trade better early on, having a supplementary source of income. The moment you're fully reliant on trading to pay for your life, it's a whole new ball game. I always suggest people have a minimum of 6 to 12 months of living expenses saved up before they consider trying to trade full time, because you don't want to be trading for a paycheck. That makes a lot of pressure. The first time I tried to go trading full time, I had to go back to work because I was starting to take trades that weren't good because I needed money to pay bills because I hadn't put enough money away. So I was taking money out of my trading account to pay bills to live. It didn't work. What place does the law of attraction have in your life? Everything. I have multiple tattoos about the law of attraction and believing in manifestation. I actively journal. I believe the vast majority of good things that have happened in my life, I've attracted into my life using the law of attraction. My success in trading, in business, meeting my wife, the friends and family I have, my health, the positions I'm in, the things that I'm able to do. I journaled all of that well before I had it. When I started Breakout, I wrote down that I was going to sell this company, and I named the company that was going to buy it. It wasn't the exact company, but it was pretty damn close. And the number I was going to sell it for wasn't exact. It was actually even more. So I'm a big law of attraction guy. All right, ZCash. I think so with a chart like this where you have this big wick, you kind of have to ignore it. So like what I see here is just ignore that wick. There's your bounce. There's your move up. That's a structure break. So you could argue that you now have new demand here. Right? You could argue that you have new demand here on the weekly. So if we're able to come down to this weekly level, run some of this trend line liquidity here, we're taking out some of it right now. We're just about. If we can run into here, I think there's probably a setup there that I might be interested in taking. RKLB. I always type this one in wrong. So I think we talked about this 2 streams ago, and I was just like, hey, this is demand. Monthly order block. Yeah, nothing's changed here. Like I would look at prior month's low, and we have that monthly order block. So we're in the monthly order block. We're in a weekly order block. There's your prior month's low. Like there is a for sure trade above here. In the meantime, lower time frame, I just want to see some kind of productive PA, and you kind of have that now. Like here's a 12-hour order block, and this is a shift. So if this is going to go up, this is a good area for it to go up to, and I think you target into like here. And if it just rolls over again, then you just sit out and wait. So like if you go watch any of the whiteboard series videos, what I always try and show you is this weekly, daily, H4, H1, and then I even go down as low as the M5 in that series. But it's this idea that like the time frames build upon each other, right? So each higher time frame is more important than the time frame below it. However, if I'm at a weekly area of demand, the bullishness that is going to appear on the weekly chart, it's going to show up first on the hourly and then the H4 and then the daily. So if I'm looking for a monthly bounce here, right? Like, let's just delete all this for a second. If we say, hey, we're in monthly demand here, I think the monthly is going to do this. Well, look what happened last time we hit monthly demand. Price came down. It spent 1 month here, and then it went up. And it just looks like a big green candle. How the fuck do you trade this other than entering here and putting your stop there? Well, you go to the low time frame. So if this is indeed demand on the monthly, and then next month we get a big green candle, on the low time frame, you're going to see the market get bullish in this area. That's the entire idea of high time frame, low time frame, multi-time frame analysis trading. So if we now go down to the weekly, still nothing. Go down to the 3-day, still nothing. It's just 2 green candles. Down to the daily, okay, maybe a little something. Now we're down to the 12-hour, the 4-hour. All of a sudden, we have a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. So we're starting to get clues that maybe that monthly bullishness that we're expecting is starting to form. Now we're on the hourly 4-hour chart. We can go down even lower. Now we're on the hourly. The hourly is in an uptrend. There's your lower high. It got broken. We're now in an uptrend. It's still way too early to know whether or not this is the monthly low within that order block. It could be, and it will be obvious on the hourly first, but this could absolutely do this and then make another low. But eventually, if the monthly is going to remain bullish and go on and make a big move up, it's going to show up as a low time frame uptrend first. And that's how you do it. You start at the high time frame. You determine your bias, then you work down to the low time frame and you look for that bias to appear, and then you look for it to build up. So how do I know whether this hourly uptrend is going to indeed end up being a monthly low? Well, first thing has to happen is it's got to be an hourly uptrend. Then I need the 4-hour to get bullish. Then I want to see the daily get bullish. Well, the daily doesn't get bullish until way up here. Okay. But let's assume that this happens. The daily now makes a higher high. Well, that was apparent all the way back here on the hourly. The higher time frame you go, the longer it takes for confirmation, but the more confirmation you get. So like that is like, you could take one thing from the entire whiteboard series so far, it's that process that I just highlighted there, using these time frames on top of each other to try and find whether or not it's a reversal. Everyone always makes fun of like, oh my God, he drew this ginormous box. Like this box goes from 56 to almost 80. I'm not telling you to buy at 80 and put your stop at 56. I'm telling you this is where you want to look for the monthly, which is bullish, to resume being bullish. It will be apparent on the low time frame first. Microstrategy. Nothing really for me here, guys. So like the thing that I mentioned a while ago is it broke out of this kind of downtrending line, but this still needs to flip structure, right? So we kind of have like a daily lower high right here. So I'd want to see it break above here. Ultimately, I still think it could go down another leg. Still, we don't know yet. It's too early. I'm not really interested. I don't love that he's selling more common stock. And I don't love that he's basically reimagined the like NAV calculation. Like if you go here, so like this used to be how they calculated their MNAV. So this is net asset value, right? So effectively the math was like, okay, well, the value of the company divided by their BTC reserves, they want it to be 1, right? So they're making sure they're not diluting too much. But then MNAV obviously fell below 1 because they have debt in the company. They have these interest payments that they have to make. And the value of their BTC reserve, the denominator, went down. And they want, honestly, they want MNAV to be in a premium, right? You want to be trading at a premium to MNAV. So sometimes when you're like valuing stocks, and I'm not a stock expert valuator by any means, so excuse me for the layman's terms here. But if you have a business trading at less than 1 NAV, right, a discount to net asset value, you might say that that's a good company to buy because you say, okay, well, this company's based on all of the math, it has assets of $1 billion, but its market cap is 500 million. It's like, well, that doesn't really make sense. Like if they were to sell off all their assets based on their revenues, their earnings, their assets that they have, blah, 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 there's more value than what it's trading at, right? So there's a dislocation there, whatever. MicroStrategy had basically lost the ability to have this greater than 1 NAV because Bitcoin was dropping in value. And at the same time, Saylor was getting levered in a way by continuing to issue these stretch and whatever other tickets where he's now got this massive dividend payment or whatever you want to call it, payments that he had to pay on these products where he's basically guaranteeing juice. And then he has debt. So they're struggling, right? Stretch was trading at a discount of 100. It's supposed to be pegged at 100, supposedly. MNAV is not where they want it to be. So what do? They reimagine what NAV looks like. Now, instead of it being this, it's the MicroStrategy price divided by net BPS equals MSTR FDSO market cap divided by net reserve. This shit's confusing to me. I don't even understand this. But really what I think is happening here, and let's grok it, is they are making the math more complicated because they want it to show the company in a better light. So the old MNAV divided by enterprise value by the Bitcoin reserve to check for premiums using a dynamic threshold that rose above 1 as preferred stock grew. While the updated version uses MicroStrategy's price over net BPS set against fully diluted market cap over net Bitcoin reserve for a fixed 1.0 accretion threshold. The tweak shifts focus to whether common equity trades at a premium to residual Bitcoin value, making it easier to claim value accretion under the current market conditions for the company's large BTC strategy. So things weren't mathing the way they wanted it to math. So what did they do? They made new math. Okay. So I'm still not a huge fan of Saylor and what's gone on, and the overhang is still there. Whether or not the sale that they made of a couple 100,000, or what was it? A couple 100 million worth of Bitcoin was enough to create the low. I don't know yet, but like we're nowhere for me right now. We're in no man's land. If we're able to get some bullishness here, I might be interested. If we get another stab lower, I might be interested. But I still think the whole thing is kind of a mess. I think Saylor's a maniac. Staked hype. Yeah, high-level scammery. I mean, he's definitely one of the best. I think Dog Boy asked for this. I mean, I think the argument to be made. So you saw, I think we talked about this last stream, Multicoin unstaked a massive amount of Hyperliquid. And everyone's like, oh my God, they're going to sell. They're going to nuke like $100 million. And I'm like, just because they unstaked, it doesn't mean they're going to sell. Hit 4 is coming out. I think a lot of people are still very bullish on Hyperliquid. But there's also been unlocks, right? So I think that could, answer for some of this. I don't really have an opinion on this chart. I don't even fully understand what this chart is, to be completely frank with you. So I'm not going to try and bullshit you like I know what the grayscale Hyperliquid staking ETF actually means. Other than the fact that, hey, maybe people are unstaking hype because they think it's going to go lower. Maybe they want to sell some. Maybe they want to have that Hyperliquid liquid because of what's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe they're using it for other strategies. Multicoin basically came out and affirmed what I said, which is they're not selling. They're actually unstaking it and then moving it to private wallets so that people can't track every single fucking move that they're doing. What's up, Mr. Simpson? Welcome to the streams, bro. But yeah, I don't really, Dog Boy, I'm sorry. I don't really have an opinion on this. Trader Man Says, does this not look like ETH BTC divergence like back in April? Maybe hesitant because BTC hasn't swept the high yet. Yeah, the divergence is not a divergence technically until we get that move, right? So we got a higher high here. I mean, you could argue it's the opposite, right? We have a higher high here. Like, so if this is going to sell off, the market's going to sell off. That's a higher high. Well, no, I guess. Hold on. July 15th. Well, no, I don't really see it. Like, are you talking about ETH BTC? Yeah, it could absolutely be an ETH BTC divergence, but I don't really know. Yeah, it's just a hype ETF. You want to stock up on it in the TFSA. Well, it's down a lot. Will Tesla ever make it above $400 again? I think, will it ever? Never say never. I think, yeah, it will eventually. But for now, this chart is looking like, I think $200 comes before. Well, $400 is not that far. That might be aggressive. I think $200 is more likely than all-time highs in the next little bit. Does SMC work with stocks orb reversal? I don't know what orb is, and I don't really know what you mean by reversal. But yeah, like smart money concepts is just a fancy way of saying you do TA and you look at price action. It's like a way that fucking guys who talk about smart money concepts can play into the keywords that might go viral, and those guys are largely sniffing their own farts. The reason I did the whiteboard series is to simplify a lot of the obfuscation that exists in smart money ICT trading, because it's really not that complicated. It's really not that complicated. It's basic TA using price action primarily. That's all smart money trading is. They just like to use a bunch of fancy words and terms to try and confuse you and make them sound smarter than they actually are. I think we already looked at Google earlier, but based single line analysis, right? You now have a very clear level matched with an order block here that you want to see Google get back above if it's bullish, 350. So if this continues to sell off, then you got something to be maybe slightly concerned about. It's got potential demand down here. This is the order block that created the fresh high. This is going to be a key level. This is, if it doesn't get down there, this is the level to watch. What watches are left in my collection? I have a Patek, I have an AP, and I have a Rolex. I want to buy one Richard Mille, and then I want to buy one additional Patek, and then that's it. Then I'll be done. What up, bro? Crypto EXE, what up, dude? Can I check Bloom Energy? Sure. It's kind of right where it was when we looked at it last stream, right? Buck clench time. You want to see it reclaim this range, this order block, and then it can trade back within here. Okay, I'm going to fly through these next handful of charts because I do have an appointment in like 40 minutes. I know, I'm trying to get away from that plastic. I listen to you guys. I don't just ignore everything you say. Got to get the microplastics out of my nuts. All right, USDT. Got like some equal highs there. Like, that's what I'd be watching. A little pop up there, probably. Am I like Kevin O'Leary and double up on the watches on my wrist? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. But yeah, that's what I'd be watching on USDT. Some demand here. These are relatively equal highs. This thing's been in an uptrend for a while now. Fake break above there. Like, if this, like when the bull market comes, right? this thing will be a lot more important to watch, but potential demand here for another high. And then I don't know. But if it breaks below this low, it could sell off pretty aggressively. IBM. How do I not have IBM on here? I totally thought I did. What a great company name. International Business Machines. It's like BMW, like Bavarian Motorworks or whatever. I mean, same thing as Bloom. Big butt clench level here. We obviously had that huge sell-off, after the earnings miss, but we took out the high. We took out the low. We're now back below the low. So if you're a bull on IBM, you want to see us reclaim this price floor very quickly. Toot sweet. SpaceX, guys, I have nothing for you. There's nothing to talk about on this yet. Still way too early. A lot of people doomering this. I could totally see this thing trade sub $100 this year. Wouldn't be surprising at all. Right? As unlocks occur, profit taking occurs, blah, blah, blah. This is the biggest IPO of all time. It's way too early to start analyzing this thing and trying to start figuring out trades. If you believe in Elon, like I'm not selling my SpaceX allocation. I'm holding it for the long term. So the IPO price is 135. I think I got in at 400 billion. So I'm up even if we go much lower. But I'm not selling. Like this thing could go down and down, but eventually this is going to be a bullish chart. I'm bullish on space and I'm bullish on Elon. I don't think there's any reason to look at this right now. Like if you're accumulating it long term as it goes down, sure, but I think it can go lower. But trying to fit some sort of analysis on the biggest IPO of all time and we're only a month into it, it's just too early. Crypto Face says 50% off IPO price, then up like Uber did. Definitely possible. I shared that tweet when this happened, right? Like 9 out of 10 of these companies that IPO'd traded 90% down from their all-time high after the IPO. Well, from the all-time high after the IPO, which was 225, we're already down 50%. So another, big, well into the double digits, I don't think is surprising at all. Lib stock. Lyondell Basel Industries. Oh, this crazy looking stock. Does this thing pay dividends? Because if it doesn't, you basically just been holding a stock that's going sideways for like ever. This is 15 years almost of sideways. Like big range here between 44. Like this is a 100%, 120% range, 150%. So I assume it pays dividends, but like just looking at this, or even you could argue that is maybe even more accurate. So there's your range, right? Like trades down lows, up to the highs. Trade below the low, back inside, up to the highs. We're now below the low. If it can get back inside the range, I would assume it's going to trade at least to the mid-range, maybe to the range highs. But yeah, that's all I could see there is I would be looking at this zone here, kind of as like higher low territory. Want to see it reclaim 70 and then just assume this range still matters. If this is a breakdown of this range and this range finally done, right, we roll over again here, then maybe it gets really ugly. Can you make a video trading orb, please, on stocks? I don't trade orb, and I don't really trade many stocks, so I'm not the guy. I'm sure there's lots of guys who do that. That's not me. So oil is another chart request that we had. Obviously, refer the diagram. You know that meme? Look at the sign. This is the sign. War on, oil up. War off, oil down. And the war seems to be back on, right? There's many, many strikes now. It seems like things have escalated over there. The strait is closed again. Trump is saying there's no deal. Then he's saying, Iran is begging for a deal, right? There's no deal. Fuck them. They're scum. Oh, actually, they want to make a deal. Like, I'm sick of it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But it seems to be never ending. But right now, we're back in the range, dude. Back in the range. Big ass fucking move up. So I thought when the deal was made and we traded down to here, we were going to get back below this trend line and continue to sell off. Didn't fucking happen, right? So that's that, right? Just wrong. So just bullish right now. It's a bullish chart. Tons of planes heading over right now. Shit's about to pop off. Damn. Orb is basically Monday's range. Same shit. Okay, I mean, I'll look into it, and if I understand it, I can make a video, but I don't really want to like try and act like I'm an expert on this orb thing. I've never done it. Never used it. I don't really trade stocks that much. Like outside of high time frame shit. Any plans on doing content around building and scaling Breakout? Yes. Yes, I do. There's certain things that I can't talk about yet, which is annoying, but I want to because I think it's a really cool story. I mean, I started the company and then sold it to Kraken in 18 months. Like, for anyone who's into angel investing or venture deals or anything like that, like, I had a unicorn. My first company, well, it's not my first company, but like my first company that got huge and I could sell was a unicorn result. First one. That's not very common. Most people make 100 deals hoping to hit one unicorn. I did it first time. GOAT. There is a poly market for this as well, right? So you can see people are starting to lean towards oil back above 100. Back above 100. Okay, we'll look at Monster. The ultimate stock. The ultimate stock. Now, I showed this to my brother, who's, I always like to bring up on these streams, but I showed this to my brother who's like deep in the AI, you know, semiconductor trenches right now with his retirement portfolio. And he's been cooking. And I'm like, dude, check out Monster. I'm like, this thing just goes up and to the right forever. And he's like, yeah, but it's only a 3x. Like in the last, I think, what was it, 10 years? He's like, it's only a 3x in the last 10 years. Like, that's how Looney Tunes we've gotten, is like a 3x in 10 years. It's like, well, I could have just bought Micron on January 1 and I would be up more than that, which is true, right? Which is absolutely true. But the difference between this and Micron is like, this thing has 35, 40 years of fucking chart history. There's no way Monster started in 1986, was it? No way. But regardless, even over the last 20 years, like, this thing just goes up and to the fucking right, dude. So I just feel like, you know, long term, this is a cool stock. But he's just like, dude, only a 3x in the last decade. Like, for sure about Micron. I mean, he's not fucking wrong. But like, this is just one of my favorite stocks to look at. I think the chart is hilarious. If you're looking for what is it going to do next, you have one single box holding it from utter destruction. So if it doesn't, like, this is a really nice breakout here, right? Breaks above all-time high with a fair value gap. If we lose that box, I think we probably come and fill that fair value gap. All right, y'all. This has been fun so far. A little bit of a different stream, talking about some different stuff. I enjoy it. I'm more inclined to answer questions that aren't just chart requests because it's fun for me. It really is. But yeah, guys, if you want to support your boy, what's the best way to do it, you ask? Well, the best way to support your boy is by going to the Order Book Show's page, Order Book Show on Twitter, and giving it a follow. It doesn't cost you anything. We post lots of summaries of the streams, little clips, charts that I don't even post on Twitter sometimes. These are from my Telegram. They get posted here. Lots of good little tidbits, little rants. So if you want to support my boy, we started this from nothing. We started this from nothing in February, and 4,300 followers. I'm pretty happy with that. Just slowly but surely grinding this thing. It's going to be 10K above sooner than we think. You also should go give Order Book Show a follow on Instagram. Same thing. If you want to see clips from the streams, this is the best place to do it. Go over to the Order Book Show on Instagram. Give that a follow as well. It helps me out a lot. And of course, most importantly, go watch the motherfucking videos on the whiteboard series. Okay? We're approaching 30K on video 1. Now, naturally, these videos are all going to have different amounts of views. But what we are seeing, and what is very typical when you put together a boot camp like this, is most people fall off. They don't make it through the entire thing. You want to know whether or not you're going to be successful in trading? Do you have the ability to watch 30 videos on how to trade? They're all free. They're all really good in my opinion. But most people will watch the first video. They're super excited. Then they'll watch the second and third, and then they give up. It's like, how do you expect to see trading through and get profitable if you can't even stick to watching a series of videos? I'm not even just saying this just for me. Go look at like any bootcamp trading series. TJR has one. First video, like 1 million views. The last video, like 100K. Because most people give up, right? Most people give up. And that's okay. But that's why I'm not really worried about things like edge erosion. And, oh my God, you share so much of your edge. Why aren't people are gonna copy how you trade? I hope that you learn to trade. I hope that you do. But most people will never put in the work to watch the videos, let alone put in the work to learn how to trade. Also, tradermain.com. If you want my free Discord, free Telegram, all that fun shit. All right, y'all. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. BitMex is officially shutting down. This is bittersweet because a lot of people don't like Arthur. A lot of people don't like Arthur, and there's many reasons to not like Arthur. You're like, hey, he writes a big manifesto about some altcoin he's all in on, and then he yeets it the moment it goes up. He's calling for $500 hype, and then he sells it all at 60. I think people who hate Arthur, a lot of them are new. They don't know about the lore of BitMex. At its peak, BitMex did a record $16 billion in a day and $1 trillion in annual trading volume. They invented the 100x perp that is now ubiquitous across crypto. Everybody loves perps. These guys were the pioneers. These guys were the pioneers. Now, did they get criminally charged for a variety of different things? Was the insurance fund the greatest chart of all time because it went up and to the right? Yeah, but if you never saw zero on the Bitcoin chart back here, okay, and then Arthur literally threw on the oh, not back here, sorry. Back here, dude, we saw zero, but Arthur turned it off. He said, no, we're not going to zero. Like, I saw zero on the order book. That's how bad it got back here, guys. Arthur saved us. He popularized the perp. They did a ton for the industry. So whatever you think about him, ethics, morals aside, BitMex was a major part of what crypto is today. They left an indelible mark on the industry, and they became billionaires because of it, and they deserved it. They deserved it. They had the best exchange for years. At some point, I believe 80%, I think was the number. 80% of the volume that was traded for perps was on BitMex. They had all of the market share. Then the Bybits and the Binances came out. BitMex was first. If you never saw this, you don't even know. You're trying to get an order in, the market's going like crazy, and they just fucking did not accept that shit. It's the end of an era, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, they're behind massive product innovation in terms of the trading terminal itself, the tech, the platform, perps. It's unbelievable. Flood here, very appropriate. This guy was one of the biggest guys on BitMex back in the day. You were talking shit, he would hit you with the / position, and then he would show you that he was long like some ungodly amount of Bitcoin, and everyone would shut the fuck up. But yeah, they changed his life. They've changed my life in many ways. Many mistakes were made, but they played a pivotal role in the industry, and the founder's success is well-deserved. A true story of novel implementation, great marketing, and execution, minting a trio of billionaires. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, the sheer magnitude of the exchange pre-2020. There's a period of time where they had 80% of the perps market share and 90% of the open interest. So yeah, they were absolutely huge. Shout out to Arthur and the BitMex guys. End of an era. Sad to see them go. In news that surprises no one, Congress has now passed the bill banning members of Congress and their spouses from trading individual stocks in a 23 to 198 vote. 198 of those votes that were against the bill were Democrats. Are we surprised? Are we surprised that Nancy Pelosi, the greatest trader of all time, who absolutely did not use her position in the government to get inside information to make money? That would be crazy. She would never do such a thing. We love Nancy Pelosi. So, of course, she voted against it because now her edge, her fucking alpha, is gone. The inside information that she got is no longer there. It's gone. I say good riddance, but no one is surprised by this at all. Now it has to go to the Senate, but this is a good thing, in my opinion. This is a good thing. The poly market is wondering if we're going to have this ban before 2027. So it's passed the House. Okay, it's passed the House. But it's still, this guy said it's never going to happen. Well, it's passed the House now. Now it's got to get through the Senate. But we are coming up to summer recess here, I think, in a couple of weeks, maybe less. So will it pass in time? All of a sudden, Congress, right? They come back in the fall. Is there time for this to pass before 2027? I don't know, but you can speculate that on Polymarket. I know a lot of you guys have been, hold on, Maine. There's way more to that story. Trump also made way more than anyone. Trader Maine, do better. It wasn't about insider trading. It was bundled with voter ID. Don't fall for the propaganda. Seems like you're saying two opposite things here. I understand that Trump also made a ton of money using his power of office. I'm not disagreeing, bro. I don't know what you mean by do better. I'm sorry I didn't say Trump, and I only said Pelosi. Fact of the matter is a bunch of Democrats voted no. They did include part of the bill about mandatory voter ID. You're telling me not to fall for the propaganda, but if I'm not mistaken, all the states that Kamala Harris won were states that didn't require voter ID. So it seems like you're being a little hypocritical here, telling me to do better, bro. Like the Democrats don't want voter ID. Of course they don't. All the states that they won have no voter ID. Look what just happened in the LA mayoral race, or what goes on in California, or what goes on in many of these Democrat states and Democrat-led cities. Like, these are just the facts. I'm not even American, bro. I'm an objective observer from outside. You need voter ID in Canada, bro. Having no voter ID is retarded. Dems voted against it primarily due to the voter ID crap built into it. How is voter ID crap? You need ID to get into Obama's presidential library. You need ID to go buy alcohol, to buy cigarettes, to get a gun, but you don't need ID to vote? Seems insane. And I actually think it's clearly you're against voter ID, and your reasoning for voter ID is maybe that, okay, well, people of color and minorities have a more difficult time getting ID, which is insane. That's been disproven. Acting like someone who's a minority or person of color doesn't have ID is racist. Making it seem like they can't figure out how to get ID is incredibly racist. And that's where so many of these democratic ideas fall apart. It's like, oh, well, we need all these immigrants because they're going to do jobs for cheaper. It's like, that sounds incredibly racist. You're saying we need immigrants from third world countries, second world countries to do jobs that Americans don't want to do? That sounds pretty racist too. I understand there's more to the story, bro. And yes, Trump made a bunch of money. He launched the Trump meme coin right before he became president because the president's not supposed to be able to make money for themselves while president. You don't think that was a tactical launch? I talked about that when it happened. I was like, the launch of the meme coin is hilariously timed because the moment he was sworn in and took office, that would have been illegal. So yeah, there's more to it. But trying to be like, well, the Dems voted against it, like, that's also bad. I think both of the things are bad. Dems have made money trading stocks. Nancy Pelosi is one of them, right? But they also want to have no voter ID because they win disproportionately in these states where there's no voter ID. Listen, bro, we understand that you don't like Trump. We get it. Everyone in the chat can tell that you're very angry that Trump made a bunch of money. Two things can be true at the same time. Nancy Pelosi can have profited off of insider trading and be against the bill for that reason, as well as being against it because she's a Democrat who doesn't want voter ID. And it can also be bad that Trump made a bunch of money while he was in power and had influence as the president. Both things can be true. Both things can be true. You don't need to be upset about it. Both things can be true. If I'm not mistaken, the Trump coin launched right before he took office, though. Yeah, he launched it on the Friday, January 17th, and then he took office 3 days later on the Monday. So, yeah, to Anon's point here, that's exactly what I'm fucking saying. That was a very planned and executed launch of the meme coin. Yeah, I'm not saying Republicans don't insider trade, guys. Like, fuck your partisan politics. I'm literally Canadian. I could care fucking less. But Nancy Pelosi, the only reason I'm making that comment is because it's been very wildly known that Nancy Pelosi has been trading based off of inside information, and everyone on Twitter talks about it, okay? Relax. Republicans do bad things too. Everybody does bad stuff. Both parties are bullshit. You're really angry. The Trump coin is 1% of the insanity of insider trading that Trump has done and been caught doing. Bro, I don't disagree with you. Nobody's arguing with you here. At no point have I said that Trump hasn't profited from insider trading or shady business dealings. At no point has anyone said that here. The fucking tariff shit. Like, what are we talking about here? Tweeting out single name stocks during COVID? Loading up, I imagine, right before announcing the tariff pause. Like, bro, we all understand, okay? It's all good. It's all good. They're all corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. The fucking pedo elite are all corrupt, dude. We're on the same team here. Relax. Take a deep breath. So the Clarity Act. A lot of you guys have asked me about the Clarity Act here. I've heard a lot of kind of countervailing points about the Clarity Act. I accidentally closed one of the tabs talking about it, but Some people think it's on the 1 yard line. You have Elizabeth Warren coming out saying we can't pass this. You know, I think Elizabeth Warren and the Democrats are going to kind of align crypto with Trump, and they're going to use that as a tool, right? They're going to say, hey, well, crypto is Trump, therefore we got to be anti-crypto. And I talked about this many times in the past when it came to the regulatory potential pendulum shift back, which is that if and when the Democrats get back in power, they could use that as a cudgel to be like, we got to hammer on regulations for crypto and unwind all of the stuff that the Republicans tried to push through for crypto, the Clarity Act potentially being one of them. So I don't know if this is going to get signed into law this year. Polymarket seems to think no. But I think this is going to be turned into a red versus blue argument, as opposed to whether or not crypto in general is a good thing. Right? And that to me is the biggest problem and the biggest issue that we're going to see here is people are going to align the Clarity Act and crypto with Trump and Republicans, and the Democrats are going to use that kind of as their counterweight, being like, well, this is all Trump stuff. We don't want any Trump stuff, right? A lot of the times when a new president gets in, they sign a bunch of executive orders to unwind a bunch of shit the last president did. So that's unfortunately, I think, going to start to dominate the conversation. And you're seeing people like Elizabeth Warren come out and say that. Now, Anthony Scaramucci, I closed the tab by accident, basically came out and said that, you know, they have to vote this through because they don't want to go against the crypto bros and their super PACs. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. They're all corrupt, but you highlight only the Democrats unless called out. Bro, the tweet was about Nancy Pelosi. What do you want me to do? Why are you so angry, bro? Like, I don't understand why you're so mad. I talked about how they voted against this, and then I showed you the Nancy Pelosi tweet, who happens to be a Democrat. Trump did bad things too. Everybody does bad things, bro. They are all corrupt. Relax, man. Relax. You're freaking out. I do think the voter ID thing is a primarily Democrat issue. It's my entire point. The states that Kamala Harris won don't require voter ID. I think not having voter ID is crazy. But you don't need to be so angry. Politics should not make you mad. You're saying that we're all brainwashed and stupid and we need to do more research. If you spend this much time thinking about politics and letting it stress you out to the point where you come on some random dude stream who's not even American, by the way, and freak out about it, you're watching way too much news. You're reading way too much about politics. You need to go outside, bro. Pelosi insider traded 1% of what Trump's done the past 2 years. Okay, dude. The tweet was about Nancy Pelosi. What do you want me to fucking do? Clearly, this guy doesn't like Trump. We get it, dude. We get it, man. The prof investor made a tweet about kind of the potential of a equities bear market starting to play out. So I think this is an interesting read. Effectively, he says it happens in 3 phases. Okay? First, there's a simple pullback. So the major indices drop fast and they drag everything down with them at the same time. It's loud, it's obvious, all over the news. So effectively, he's saying, like, you know, you get your first pullback here. Right? Big pullback we had in June. You know, equities go down 5% and a lot of stuff pulled back with it. He says the next step is sideways. So the indices go sideways. Meanwhile, underneath the surface, individual leaders get taken out back and go through 30 to 50% brutal corrections. So now the indice market for months now, sideways, right? Major markets are going sideways. But while that's happening, leaders are getting smoked. And so you can go look at some of these semi plays, right? Some of these AI plays have gone through big 30 to 50% corrections, right? Because remember, the semiconductors and AI kind of trade has come up to, what was it, like 15 or 17% of the index? Some crazy number. Then you get the structural bear market. This happens when the sideways bloodbath goes on for too long, and eventually the index weight snaps and the mega caps give up and the broad index rolls over into a long-term downtrend. So he's effectively saying that we are in stage 2 right now and potentially headed towards stage 3. Right now, the indices are sideways, but if you look on the tape on your screen, the actual leaders are starting to drop like a rock. Individual stocks are already in a full-on bear market under the surface. So these are a lot of the big names: ARM, SanDisk, right? Marvell, our Bloom Energy are down a ton, right? While the indices are kind of going sideways. And what he says is going to happen next, if these kind of order of operations occur correctly, is we are going to see a structural shift in the indices once they basically catch up to what's going on underneath the surface. So what will that look like? It will look like a market structure break like we got prior. So right now, if I delete all of this, right, you could argue like this is probably the cleanest structural level here. Maybe you use this on the 3-day. But if we get a break below structure here on the S&P, that's going to look very bad for everything in the risk market. So he's effectively saying that right now the bloodbath is already occurring. A lot of these individual leaders are in a bear market already. It just hasn't shown up in the indices yet. So something to watch. I did not mean to press that. Something to watch for sure. But he's effectively saying that we're going to go into a bear market here on equities. And that makes you wonder, if the bear market hasn't even begun on equities, we're still going sideways. What happens to crypto if the indices do this? Even this. Then what happens to crypto? Then is the bottom in. So something to watch. An interesting take here from the prof. The prof investor. I'm going to give him a follow. Canada's most followed trading voice. Hold on. Hold on 1 minute. First of all, I like what you just posted, and I think your profile picture is this. Did you change it to green when you're bullish? Canada's most followed trading voice. He follows Trader Main. Trader Main doesn't follow him. Trader Main, Canadian. I'm follower mogging you, bro. So who's the real most followed voice in Canada? If I've got 560,000 followers and you only got 127,000. How are you Canada's most followed trading voice? I think I might be Canada's most followed trading voice. But I will give you a follow back anyways, because I do think that was some insightful analysis here. You're saying he's a fraud? Oh, no. I just followed him, though. He's a fraud? That's not good. That's not good. Lama, bro, Bitcoin is at 60K and you're saying crypto is dead. I don't know who's saying crypto is dead. Hyperliquid hits a record $11.5 billion in open interest in 2026. Unbelievable. Revenue hit 1 million in the last day. Annual projections at 800 million. All funneled into hype token buybacks, while ETFs like Bitwise and Grayscale drew in over 300 million since May. Traders and execs like Hendrik Zeberg and Bitwise CIO Matt Hugin call hype undervalued amidst all these all-time highs. HIP 4 coming out. Like, this is, people ask me, like, what coins do you believe in? What coins do you want to hold in the next cycle? Hyperliquid. I want to own Hyperliquid. I like Hyperliquid. It's getting added and is being added to the stock. As we mentioned, you can go speculate on oil price here. Crude, obviously, ripping. Yemen, Houthi strikes. 2 Saudi Arabia tankers. Trump sending a bunch of planes over there. seems like this is maybe pricing back in just further escalation over there. So if you were tired of the oil trade and the Iran ceasefire and not ceasefire and blah, 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 well, too fucking bad because it's not over yet. Thread guy, my son, my literal son, who I love dearly, say hi to your mother for me. Totally kidding. My most confident take is that celebrities in the 2030s are the best traders. I've never believed in a take more than this. This is the take. You want to be famous, learn how to trade. Crypto influencers are the new athletes. When Ansem has $1 billion in a phantom wallet, we have to have some tough conversations on motion levels in this world. I could not disagree more. We already have massively famous traders who make tens of billions of dollars. And even they are borderline celebrities. Like, is Bill Ackman a celebrity? He's a famous trader. He's well known. Warren Buffett is well known. He's a famous trader. But is he like a celebrity? I don't think so. I think a lot of people, you could walk by Bill Ackman and have no idea who the fuck he is. I bet you most of you don't even know what Bill Ackman looks like, or maybe what Warren Buffett looks like. Right? Like, this is just the reality of it. Some of the greatest traders on the planet. Like, do you know what Druckenmiller looks like? Stanley Druckenmiller, how many years profitable in fund? Stanley Druckenmiller was profitable for 30 out of 30 years running his fund. 0 losing years, and he had an average annual return of 30%. Managing billions of dollars, he was profitable during 2008. I'm sorry, but Ansem, me, you, Rasmer, none of us are on the Drux level, and I bet you most people don't know who Stanley Druckenmiller is or could recognize him. People all over the world know who LeBron James is, Michael Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo. I like this take. I like the idea of it, but I just could not disagree more. I think influencers in the trading space can become more popular influencers and more mainstream. Maybe crypto traders who do really, really well and then transition that into having a public-facing brand can become a more mainstream influencer. But even the average influencer is a nobody relative to the best athletes in the world. It is what it is. I don't agree. And I also think the vast majority of really, really good crypto traders who make a ton of money are never going to dox, and they'll remain completely anonymous. I know guys who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars from trading crypto. They have 0 followers, 0 motion. So if you want to be famous, it's not about learning to trade crypto. It's by learning to have a public brand and be a front-facing person within crypto. I would venture to say that there's more 100 millionaires who are completely anon than there are 100 millionaires who are doxed crypto people. So I don't agree with this take at all. When Ansem has $1 billion in a phantom wallet, we're going to have some tough conversations around motions level. Well, if he has $1 billion in his phantom wallet, I hope he hires security, because that's crazy. And he's securing the tokens in a better way than just on a phantom wallet. But again, I think like we're a lot smaller than we think. I think people in crypto Twitter live in an echo chamber relative to the real world and the real financial markets. Like, we are a fucking speck of dust. And if you want to be the biggest, most famous person in crypto, public facing, that doesn't even require you to be a trader. Many of the biggest, BitBoy was never a trader. BitBoy was like arguably the biggest KOL for many years. Moon Carl has made over $100 million, not from trading, from being like the biggest Bybit affiliate when Bybit first launched and having a huge audience and brand. None of that necessarily means you're a good trader. A lot of really good traders don't want to be known. They don't want to have a public face. So yeah, I just disagree with this take. I don't think crypto influencers are the new athletes by any means. Not even the numbers add up, even remotely close. The vast majority of people who I think are publicly doxed on crypto Twitter are not even traders. They're just good at marketing. But yeah, love Thread Guy, my son. He's my homie, but I disagree with the kids on this one. Same thing with Rasmer. Like, yeah, maybe some trader will trade up to $1 billion, but I just don't think this is an agreed a take that I agree with. Like, look at like even some of the biggest names in crypto Twitter. They want to fall into irrelevancy. Everyone's gonna leave here at some point and go live their regular life, me included. But yeah. So in horrible news for Brian Johnson only, studies suggest that DNA mutations limit lifespan 156 years. A new study comes out that says the human body is free of most aging factors, lasting a median of 1,759 years until DNA mutations in cells drop it to 156 years, or 146 to 194 years, factoring organ interactions. So brain neurons and heart cells emerge as the key bottlenecks. They don't regenerate. So while your liver could last a millennia, your heart and your brain aren't going to do it. So even though Brian Johnson has cloned himself to harvest organs and stem cells from a cloned baby version of himself, which sounds like a sci-fi horror movie, there might be some limitations there. So bad news, if you're Brian Johnson specifically, you might not live forever, but maybe you can live a lot longer than the average person. Last but not least, guy, Polymarket is still running the Combo Cup. 50K every day in bonuses to the top combo trades on Polymarket. It ends in 8 days. So if you're trying to gamble on some baseball, some of the sports that are still going on, events that are happening, UFC, things like that, the best combos, 50K in daily bonuses paid out every single day. Shout out to Polymarket for sponsoring your boy, for keeping the lights on in here. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm sorry I have to go, or else I'd stay a little longer, but I've got an appointment I got to get to, and I got to go to the gym. Your boy's withering away. Look at the jawline. This 6 months ago, this didn't exist because I was so fucking fat. So I got to go to the gym, burn off some calories, but I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And I'll be back with another stream on Tuesday. Make sure you follow me on all socials. I appreciate you guys. I love you. Anon, I'm sorry for fighting with you. I understand you're a fan. I'm a fan of you, bro. And I'm a big fan of fucking the deep state and the conspiracies and all the fucked up shit. But I try to not let it rattle me that much, or else I would be depressed all the time because of how fucked the world is. Dude, I live in Canada. Like, I live in a literal communist hellscape, dude. Trust me. But if I let it bother me all the time,